This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
What's up, Detroit sports fans? Welcome to the Fan Report, a show made by fans for fans, powered by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I'm Nick, and joining me today is our boy Andrew's going to give us this week's topics.
Well, it's draft week. No, not the NBA draft, unfortunately, but it's a celebrity draft. With Governor Whitmer allowing gatherings of up to 10 people, we're going to throw a party and pretend that we know celebrities on a first-name basis. Who's on the guest list? Well, that's determined by our drafting prowess, and I guess our idea of a good time. But first, let's dive into the wonderful world of salary caps. It's the Fan Report.
All right, a little post-quarantine draft is on the docket for today. A little bit of fun as the sports world continues to not drag on. Sports.
I wish we could talk about the NBA.
I mean, technically speaking, we do have sports this weekend. We have the match 2.0 with Tiger and Phil, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning.
We do that this weekend.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. I'd say I actually am kind of excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going to be very entertaining. I hope that this time they actually let them talk instead of have Mike Tirico constantly talking over them about the president, about COVID. You know, we want sports to escape from everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like it to be where we don't have to listen to him. We can listen to the guys talk trash to each other because that's what we want. Let's be honest. Everybody wants to hear Tiger and Phil talk trash, Peyton and Tom talk trash. That would be fun. And that's
After
what I
watching Last Dance, I kind of want Michael Jordan in on this.
I bet you $1 million I could get a hole in one.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that would be obviously very entertaining. I wouldn't mind.
What time is that supposed to be on, by the way?
I actually don't know. I've honest to God looked at the date and time of this like 4 times in the last 2 weeks, and I still can't remember. I just know it's tomorrow. So when this gets released today, technically. So when this gets released, when you guys are able to listen to it, it'll be day of match day. But obviously, that's something that we're looking forward to. We have NASCAR, we have UFC going on. I know those are more niche sports that not as many people watch, but it's at least something. I watched the golf match for COVID charity. I watched that with Ricky Fowler, Matthew Wolff, Rory McIlroy, and Dustin Johnson. I thought that was kind of entertaining. It was all right. It wasn't bad. But it was still, it was something. It was sports. It was live sports. So it's something that's a step forward. I know the NHL is starting to come to an agreement. The NHLPA has agreed to move talks forward. Seems like talks in the NBA have kind of stalled, though, which is a little concerning. But
I mean, they have said that right now they're looking at starting back up again in 6 to 8 weeks, and they were saying 2 locations, both
Orlando
Disney
and Las
World
Vegas.
and Vegas.
Yes, Orlando and Las Vegas.
When did they say specifically Disney World?
Yeah, specifically Disney World. Honestly, what I want the NBA to do, and they've kind of talked about, what are we going to do? Are we going to play the rest of the season? Or are we just going to go straight into the playoffs and pick a certain amount of teams? I think they should honestly follow the route of what the NHL format's looking like, where it's a 24-team playoff. First, top 4 seeds have a first-round bye. And then you go you play each other in a best-of-5 series in the first rounds with the highest seed, so 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11. You go that way. And then after that, it's a 7-game series throughout. I think that's the best way. And then the bottom 6 teams for the NBA would just have equal odds in the draft lottery. I think that would honestly be the best result overall, because I think the bottom 6 teams in the NBA are garbage anyways. That would include the Detroit Pistons. So I think they should do it that way. Have a 24-team playoff format.
We know the team with currently the best odds, the Golden State Warriors, do not need a number 1.
No, they don't. Let's be real. So I personally think that would be the way to get the best results on both ends of the spectrum in terms of the draft lottery, as well as in terms of the playoffs scenario, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. Now, I did have one question about, because I don't remember what show it was, but Jay Williams, the analyst for, I don't remember what broadcast network it is, but he's an analyst for one of the major sports networks, and he posted an idea of, honestly, as time goes by and we start to waste more time here with all this going on before we can restart the NBA season, if we're hell-bent on making sure we crown a champion this year, why not just take all 30 teams and have a one-and-done tournament like March Madness? How would you feel about a one-and-done tournament for the NBA?
I thought about it, and in theory, I would as a fan, I would love watching it. But at the same time, like it almost entirely negates the entire 2019-2020 season at that point.
Oh, it absolutely does.
So,
it absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still seeding involved. There is still seeding involved, and you would still have buys because of the seeding. Because a 30 team format doesn't necessarily work out evenly, so you have to have buys somewhere in there. You probably have to have the top 6 teams be buys or something like that. I don't remember.
I would personally love to watch that. I would.
Oh. In terms of entertainment value, there'd be nothing like it. Pure entertainment value would be fantastic. I don't think it's in my opinion one of the worst ways to crown a champion.
I agree.
Just because that doesn't necessarily mean the best team wins. But I think it would be absolutely entertaining as all hell. And frankly, I think for teams like the Golden State Warriors, because everybody's healthy now, it'd make things a little interesting because they're all of a sudden good again, even though they were the worst team in the NBA. So like a 30-seeded team could end up winning, technically speaking.
You don't want to be the 1 seed. You're like,
right. But I do think it would be very entertaining to watch these guys in a one and done format because you know that they'd be playing their hearts out every single game to try to win a championship. You'd have some Cinderellas in there. I think it would be very, a lot of fun to watch. I just don't think you'd get the best champion. The true champion wouldn't come out of this.
Yeah.
So I'd much prefer to go the route of what the NHL is proposing and do the 2014 playoff and go from there because I think you definitely, without a doubt, get the best champion out of that one. Or the other proposal I thought of was, okay, if you start the playoffs with, if you are within 3 games of the 8th seed, you're in the playoffs. Now, obviously, that's going to make things, and you just seed it 1 through whatever at that point and do the buys the way you have to. Sure,
so you just include all the bubble teams. There's no play-in. It's just like you guys
exactly. You'd have play-in games amongst the bubble teams. The only teams playing in like a best-of-3 series at the beginning would be your bubble teams to determine who gets into that 8th seed.
Oh, okay. So it's basically what I was saying previously.
Yeah, but you have to be within 3 games of that 8th seed to be included. Sure, you'd probably have an odd number of teams, but you'd work it out using buys. I just personally think that would be a good route. But again, I still like the 2014 playoff format that the NHL uses. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then give even odds in the draft lottery to the bottom 6 teams. So
what I still find interesting to consider is what effect this will have on the start of the 2020-2021 season.
I don't think it'll have any factor. I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't think it'll have any factor in it because let's be real. Do these guys really need the 4 or 5 months off, even 6 months off before a season? No, we waste a lot of time in the off season of doing nothing. I really don't think there's that much time needed to do the combine or to do your draft scouting or to do such and such. You don't need 30 days for free agency. You don't. Let's be honest. You don't.
What about players having time to prepare their bodies for another season?
They should already be prepared. They're the greatest athletes in the world. Why aren't they already prepared? You can get your body as an athlete back into game shape within a certain amount of time period. You cancel the preseason. You don't need 6 months to get your body back into game shape. Sure, you take 2 months to rehab, fine. It takes you maybe 30 days to get back into at least a form to get you ready to go. You don't need all that time. A lot of time in the off season is entirely wasted with voluntary workouts like the NFL has, and I'm pretty sure basketball has them as well. If you get rid of all that and just make everything mandatory and ramp things up, it's not that hard. It's like an accelerated class in college. It's you just do everything faster. You do everything in a lesser amount of time. These are the greatest athletes in the world. They don't need 6 months to get ready.
I know, because the only thing I think of is when you look at a lot of times when you see like early season like injuries, and then you hear analysts chalk it up to, you can chalk it up to poor conditioning in the offseason. They didn't keep themselves in shape, and like that's what always comes to mind for me when you hear about like a shortened offseason is it's just that after the wear and tear of the NBA season, do you have time to get back to like rehab your body and then bring it right back into game shape? But then at the same time, I don't know how much of a factor these last 2 or so months off are going to have on that.
I guarantee you that players have had ample time to rehab quite a bit in these couple months off. But also, you got to think about it this way: the guys that are getting the early season injuries due to a lack of conditioning are probably the ones that are using free agency period to go on vacation and eat a bunch of cake and do nothing. They're not using it to work out. They're not using it to do what they're supposed to do to keep their bodies in shape. Think about it this way. How much time do you think an athlete, a player who's already signed on contract, wastes during free agency and draft periods? A lot. I guarantee you that they're not working out the way that they would the 30 days before a season starts or doing what they need to do to fully keep themselves in game shape. They're not. And that's where you see a lot of those early season injuries. All you're doing is taking that 5 to 6 month time frame in the offseason and just condensing it down. We don't need the long ass free agency or pre-draft period that we have. You condense that down. You divide it in half and you just do everything expedited. That's all. It's not that complicated really to do. I don't think we're going to have to worry about any problems in the offseason because I really do think, again, these guys are the greatest athletes in the world. They should be ready to go.
Don't you think that decompression time is a little essential for your longevity, or no?
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, how many of us have gotten decompression time? We've all had to ramp it up just like them.
Yeah, but we're not putting our bodies through what athletes other bodies.
No, I mean, some of us are. Some of us have a very grueling manual labor job. And also, Andrew, they've had the 2 months off lately. They've been able to decompress. They've been able to relax with their families. They've been able to take time off.
That's why I said I don't know what effect these last 2 months have had.
But also, if a guy is still injured at this point, it's not like in the case of an injury where they need the offseason to heal. It's not like the time hasn't changed. We still have 30 days and 30 days. Where you still had the time to rehab and get ready to go. So in reality, how much time are they needing? How much time are they needing to recover? It's not like they're the time that's needed isn't after an 82 game season and the playoffs. They've had a 70 game season or 65 game season, 2 months off, and then the playoffs. So they've had time to rest. They've had time to rehab. The amount of time that's gone by hasn't changed. So they're still getting the same amount of offseason of time. They're still getting the same amount of time to rehab and everything like that. It's just they're just going to be able to have less time in between playoffs and start of the next season. That's all. It's not as big of a deal as going, playing 82 games plus the playoffs straight and then going into next season after 3 months. It's 65 games season, 2 months off, 30 some odd games, 40 games for the playoffs. Not really that much, but however many, if you take 4 rounds of the NBA playoffs at 7 games apiece, you're playing less than 30 games at that point. So a 30 game at most, less than 30 game season, and then you're getting another 3 months off. It's not that big of a deal.
But I want to pivot slightly as we talk about how the NBA can move forward. There is one other key aspect that I think we haven't discussed here on the show that we should discuss, which is salary caps. And the reason I want to bring this up is Bobby Marks put up an ESPN Insider article about he proposed 8 different rule changes that can make the NBA salaries and free agents work with a decrease in BRI, which is basketball related income. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and discuss all of them and bore you guys to death, but there were a couple interesting ones, and one specifically that could have really major implications for the Pistons, which is why I wanted to bring this up for a little bit. So just to lay the groundwork here, the projected salary cap before coronavirus for the 2020-2021 season was to be $115 million with a $139 million luxury tax line. But now with the basketball related income expected to decrease by 1 to as much as $2 billion. So we'll call this, which last year was 2018-2019 had an $8 million BRI. So if you project a $2 million decrease at a $6 million BRI and you just use that standard percentage of BRI salary cap formula, you're looking at a $95 million cap and a $115 million luxury. That's a $20 million cap decrease. That puts 25 teams in the luxury tax above the luxury tax threshold for next season, which would actually be the most in league history, which is why a lot of owners have been trying to work with the league and trying to figure out ways to circumvent this to mitigate the hit that they're going to take. So a few proposals I actually really liked that Bobby Marks proposed before I get to the one that really has implications for the Pistons, and I want to get your take on these, Nick. The first one proposed is only lowering the cap, but not the luxury tax, which would actually obviously soften the blow for a lot of organizations because they wouldn't be put in double jeopardy because they're already losing money from revenue, and then be able to lose more money with luxury tax would really hurt. So would you like the idea of just lowering the cap and not luxury tax? I think that's a feasible.
I think that's actually not a terrible idea at all. It's luxury tax forgiveness, because I was going to say, well, they're probably just going to have to go the route of luxury tax forgiveness for this season. But that's luxury tax forgiveness while keeping teams from going overboard. You know what I mean? It keeps it from turning into a Major League Baseball scenario where one team can spend, hundreds of millions of dollars more than another team can. So I kind of like that idea of keeping a luxury tax at the spot where it was expected to be and allowing teams to spend that money if they're willing to go over that cap.
Yeah.
Because not all teams are going to be willing to go over that cap number, but they'll be able to be in that range and continue with the contracts that they have. So that's actually not really a bad idea at all of lowering the salary cap, but keeping the luxury tax at where it is. I don't hate that idea at all.
Yeah, and you'd avoid teams who were not, because teams planned seasons in advance in terms of where they're going to be with the cap, because they planned for the increase in BRI and the associated increase with cap revenue.
Which I love the fact that basketball-related income is an actual financial term.
Yeah, that's one thing that kept coming up as I was doing research on this. So
BRI, interesting.
So obviously no one saw this. Like in the beginning, at the start of the 2019-2020 season, no one saw this coming, so teams couldn't plan for this. So it helps the teams that are going to be putting luxury tax solely because of the work stoppages due to COVID. So the teams that were headed for the luxury tax anyways are still probably going to get luxury tax, but it helps the rest of the NBA.
Which is how it should be, because the teams that were already headed for luxury tax territory should still be penalized.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be. They were already expecting to pay luxury tax at this point, and that's how it should be. They should still be paying luxury tax. Yeah. So I think that's a good. I think that's a good option there.
All right. One other one before we get to the big one here: cap smoothing. This would actually allow teams to plan for the future and give them time to avoid luxury tax. Now, for anyone unfamiliar with what cap smoothing would entail, it's basically just spreading the hit out over multiple years. So just to lay out an example, the projected cap increase for the next 3 years was supposed to be next year, like I said, $115 million. The following year, $125, and then 2022, 2023 was going to be $131 million. With the cap smoothing effect, you're only looking at a $112 million cap next year, only $118 as opposed to $125 in 2 years from now, and 3 years from now, $126 as opposed to $131. So you're still having a lower salary cap, but it's not an immediate decrease. So
it's a lot more gradual.
Exactly, and allows teams to actually plan and avoid luxury tax.
This may actually be the best route that the NBA can go, because a lot of your normal businesses, when they take a financial hit or go into a period of loss, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll spread out that loss over a period of years due to using budget decreases.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's probably, and that's proven to be successful across all walks of.
And it's the one that's gotten the most, and this is the method that's gotten the most traction with league owners.
Right. I think that's probably the best route to go is smooth out the hit throughout a few years, and it's going to hurt for a few years, sure, but things will eventually return to normal. It's just a budget decrease over the next 3 years, and then eventually things return back to status quo. I think that probably is the one that's the best alternative.
It's a very sensible alternative.
Absolutely.
And then just to point out, the luxury tax would move in this scenario. It wouldn't be frozen at the current line like the last scenario proposed. Now the third one, this is the one that is really that I would bet you Tom Gores is probably really pushing for here. Reintroducing the one-time amnesty clause. Now they introduced this in the last CBA, and Joe Dumars, who was our GM at the time, neglected to use it. And because a lot of people wanted to use it on Ben Gordon, but instead he traded Ben Gordon and a first-round pick for Corey Maggette, and he offloaded that contract that way, which still to this day doesn't make sense to me.
Nope.
I was a big proponent of Joe Dumars up until that point. I was like, all right, I forgave you for the Charlie V, Ben Gordon signings, but this one you lost me. Yeah. But anyway, bringing this back, obviously, and you guys are probably way ahead of me on this, would allow us to amnesty Blake Griffin's contract. Now, again, just to reiterate for anyone who's not sure what amnesty means, it means that a certain player's contract would not be counted against the cap. You can pick one player, it's a one-time use thing.
You still got to pay it.
Still got to pay it, just won't count against your cap hit. So imagine being able to take Blake Griffin's massive contract for the next 2 years off your books. You're already going into the season with at least $25 million in cap space. You take out Blake Griffin's portion of that too.
Now,
looking at massive
see,
cap
the
space.
problem I have with this idea is it's so weighted to, it's so like not every team is going to be able to take as much of advantage of it as, it's not fair across the boards because not everybody has a contract like that's a monstrosity like Blake Griffin's that gets upwards of $40 million up in the dollar mark. Not every team has that. So not every team is going to be able to benefit as much from the amnesty clause as someone like the Pistons or someone that has one of those astronomical contracts like a Nick Batum type contract that they so badly don't want to have hit their cap. So I think for the sake of competitive balance, this is probably the least likely or the least fair option.
This is also the one I want the most.
Oh, I'm sure it is. As a Piston fan, absolutely. Because, again, we're one of those teams that would greatly benefit from this because we wouldn't have to pay Blake Griffin's astronomical contract. But again, in terms of keeping the competitive balance, I don't think this is the best route to go just because not every team is going to be able to take that massive benefit that we have.
Oh, I mean, by Marks in the article points out that the Pistons are the team that would most benefit from
absolutely
1-year amnesty provision.
Absolutely.
Of the entire league.
So I'll probably say that this is one that I like the least from a pure basketball standpoint.
It will help people avoid luxury tax and stay under the cap.
Right, absolutely.
More our teams would benefit more than some.
Yes. So I would think for pure competitive balance, I don't think this is the route that should be done. I still like the second option. But as a Pistons fan, I say let's do this one.
Yep. I'm so bitter over us not using it the first time we had the option.
Right.
So
why anybody wouldn't use the amnesty clause when they have the opportunity is beyond me. If the amnesty clause is available, just use it. It's free salary cap space.
I remember sitting in my dorm room
as an organization. Sure, you got to pay it.
I remember sitting in my dorm room at state just fuming that the Pistons weren't using it because I'm like, it was at a time when Andre Iguodala was going to hit free agency and I really want us to get Andre Iguodala. And I'm like, just use the clause. Yeah. Why do we give him a first round pick? It makes no sense.
It really doesn't. It really never did. I never understood that one. With the amnesty clause there, maybe it was a direction from the Davidson family, from Bill Davidson himself, saying I don't want to pay this contract.
Oh, Bill Davidson had passed by then.
Oh, that's right. It still could have been a direction from Palace Sports and Entertainment. We'll go with that, saying we don't want to pay this contract, get rid of it, kind of a deal. So, but either way, they should have definitely used the amnesty clause on that one. But yeah. Anyways, though, anything else to add here? No,
that was it. I didn't want to go too deep into the article because I'd really bore you guys with it. So,
alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on into the, the idea that my girlfriend proposed. Literally directly after our previous episode, she goes, "I got an idea for your next episode," and I was like, "Let's hear it." And this is what she came up with. So we're doing a post-quarantine party. We're throwing a post-quarantine party. Each of us are, and the idea is due to the recent regulations that, or the recent law that Governor Whitmer has passed, that you have to have a social gathering of fewer than 10 people. We are going to, of 10 or fewer people, we're going to have this party limited to 10 people. And we decided we're going to do with celebrities, athletes, and local celebrities alike. So you have representation from everyone. And so Andrew and I came up with a list of names. I believe the list got to about 43 names of people, and then we're going to go back and forth draft style. Do we want to do snake drafts or just back and forth?
Let's do snake.
Snake? Okay, fair enough. To determine our teams. Now, obviously, there's going to be names that are not going to be picked. We can shame a couple of them if we'd like. But I'm curious to see who are the top picks in this, and we're gonna see who's got the better guest list.
I have my strategies going into this right now. So
I have some strategies here. I got some names written down. I'm taking this seriously. I did my homework. But how do we want to figure out the first pick?
Well, we can see each other, so I was thinking we'll just do rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, we could do that. Rock, paper, scissors gets to choose.
We'll inform the listeners on the updates after each round.
All right, ready?
Who wins a rock, paper, scissors?
Let's go. Rock, paper, scissors?
On shoot.
Yep.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Scissors?
All right, we both did scissors.
All right.
I got to go higher, sorry. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, I won that one.
Nick got paper, I got rock, so Nick won that one. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We both had rock there. Rock, paper, scissors, Shoot, this is quality radio. I have scissors, Nick has paper. We're tied.
This is great radio. One more. This is it.
Here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, Nick got me.
I got him. All right, I'm actually going to choose.
I had paper. Nick had scissors.
I'm actually going to choose to. Should I defer or should I? I'm going to take the first pick. I'm going to guarantee my guy.
All right, go for it.
All right, I'm going Bert Kreischer as my number one pick.
You bastard.
I knew it. All right, so Andrew gets the next two picks. I got Bert Kreischer here with my number one.
All right, my next two. Here, let me update on here. My next two are going to be. Oh, we should read off the guest list, our draft pool real quick. We forgot to do that.
We don't have to list the full names.
I know, so we should read off you want to read them off so people know who we're choosing from?
Sure. I mean, we can do that. So on the list, we've got Ali Wong, Andy Samberg, Amy Poehler, Bert Kreischer, Beyonce, Bill Burr, Blake Griffin, Blake Lively, Charlie Sheen, Darren McCarty, Dennis Rodman, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Dylan Larkin, Ellen DeGeneres, Gal Gadot, Gordon Ramsay, Guy Fieri, Jack Black, Joe Rogan, Jonah Hill, Justin Bieber, Kanye West, Kevin Hart, Kim Kardashian, LeBron James, Leo DiCaprio, Lil Dicky, Margot Robbie, Martha Stewart, Matthew Stafford, Michael Cera, Michael Jordan, Miguel Cabrera, Ryan Reynolds, Scarlett Johansson, Seth Rogen, Shaq, Simon Cowell, Steve Eisman, Tiffany Haddish, Tina Fey, and Will Smith. Now, mind you, in this draft, you have to also factor in refreshments and food for your party. So you have to, if you have to go the route of either skipping the chefs and worry about who you're going and who's making the food.
Leads me right to my first pick.
Who is your first pick, Andrew?
Gordon Ramsay is my first pick.
He's going. Oh, that's right. We are doing only 9 each because we are one person. So it's not a list of 10 people. It's a list of 9 people. So
exactly,
there's 9 rounds. Yes. Mm-hmm. So you have Gordon Ramsay on yours.
So I'm taking Gordon. And then my second pick, I'm going Seth Rogen.
Oh, he's going with Seth Rogen. So you've got your, we'll call it the drug fix.
Yeah.
Oh, so I got 2 straight picks here. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I don't know if it's a little early to do this. I'm going to go with my next 2 picks. I'm going Bill Burr to get the Bert Kreischer Bill Burr combination.
Yes. I went the risk because I'm like, he's not going to take both Bert and Bill. He wants one of them.
No, I'm taking both. I'm taking both. And then I'm going to go Ryan Reynolds with my 3rd pick here.
Okay.
Going Bert, Bill, and Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. What am I going to do? All right. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with another comedic duo, but not necessarily stand-up comedy, except one of them is. I'm going to go The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Oh, that's a good one. I had a feeling you were going to go that route.
I wasn't until you took both Bill Burr and Ryan Reynolds.
I am going to have a little fun with this one as well, and I'm going to bring in a little local flavor into this. Uh-huh. I am going Blake Lively to get that Ryan Reynolds-Blake Lively duo, and I just love me some Blake Lively. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to go Darren McCarty.
Interesting.
To bring in some local flavor here. Darren D-Mac is a guy who loves to party and is a grand old time. So I got to have D-Mac in my house.
Very interesting. I'm going to stick with the comedy. And I'm going to add 2 women to my guest list.
Ooh.
I'm going Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
Okay, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. That's a good route. I still don't have a chef.
Yeah,
but considering you have one,
I don't need 2 chefs. So
exactly.
If you want Guy Fieri, you can wait till round 9 on him.
I'm probably going to wait till the end with him. So I got 2.
Why did I say that? Why am I helping you?
I was thinking about that anyways. I do have back-to-back picks here. I'm wondering who I go with. You know what? I'm going to bring in some more local flair here. I'm going to go Steve Yzerman because I want the Wings stories with Stevie Y and D-Mac together.
Interesting.
I want the stories of them together. I think that would be real and a lot of good times right there. I'm going to go Will Smith.
Ooh.
I'm going to go Will Smith here for my 7th round pick. I love me some Will Smith. Dude's awesome.
Oh,
Dude's the best.
All right. Well, you took that one right from under my nose.
Oh, I know. I know how much you love him. Honest to God, I'm surprised you didn't take Will Smith in your top 5.
I will because I really didn't think you were going to take him at all. For my next pick, I know I have 2 here, but my next pick, I need some music at the party.
Okay.
And I want to go with a musician who can do a little bit of everything and make me laugh at the same time. I'm going Jack Black.
Oh, a little bit of rock and roll. A little bit of
Yep.
I like it. A little bit of Jack Black rock and roll. A little Tenacious D.
And I just realized I inadvertently just took the 3 male stars of Jumanji.
Who's your 8th round pick here?
All right, my 8th round pick. I need someone.
I missed your joke, by the way. Sorry.
I just realized I took the 3 male stars of Jumanji.
You did take the 3 male stars of Jumanji. We can reenact Jumanji. You can be the 4th star of Jumanji.
I want someone because I imagine my party is going to have like an outdoor like fire pit, some barbecuing going on.
Oh.
And I want someone I can chill and have a nice cigar with.
Oh, I know the route you're going, and I'm mad.
I'm taking Mike. I'm taking Michael Jordan.
Oh, that's not the route I thought you were going. Okay. All right. That is a good one. Michael Jordan was in my short list here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a second to consult here. I'm bringing in a consultant for this one. So give me 2 seconds.
So who does Danielle want?
Oh, I don't know.
Says you have all comedians, Nicholas.
I know.
But there's nothing wrong with all comedians. I only have one. I mean, I only have one person that's not a comedian in Michael Jordan. Well, Gordon Ramsay's my chef.
So for the sake of the draft board time here, for the sake of the draft time, I'm going to throw in who I have to have is Guy Fieri because I'm down basically to one pick here. So I'm taking my chef and Guy Fieri.
Okay.
Now I've got a list of people here. I feel like I can't have just one woman.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have another one.
Yeah, she's just the wife. I would honestly do you want to go the fun route or do you want to go serious? Like, who on your list of women can make like good cocktails or have like good?
I mean, I know if I were you, I know which female I'd have my eye on right now, but I don't know if we're gonna be in the same wavelength here. Just looking at your guest list.
Depending on that, I would pick a woman based off that, 100%.
Do I want my house to be destroyed or do I want it to be a little more classed up joint? So I'm between the 3 women. I'm between here are Margot Robbie.
Honest, you have Burt Kreischer. Your house is gonna be destroyed.
I do have Burt Kreischer in my house.
Fucking Beyonce because she can.
Beyonce's an interesting
She's a
one.
classy lady.
She is.
She knows how to have a fun time or fucking have Rihanna and as a wild card.
That is true too. I'm looking at Margot Robbie, Beyonce, Rihanna, Scarlett Johansson, or Ali Wong. But I do have a ton of comedians already.
Mm-hmm.
So I may get rid of Ali Wong. So I'm between Scarlett Johansson, Margot Robbie, and I'm going to get rid of Beyonce because I'm honestly not the biggest Beyonce fan.
Oh.
I think she's overrated. Rihanna is a wild card.
It's just recently I feel like
no. Loved her in Destiny's Child. Even loved her career after that. I just think recently I don't love all the moves she's made.
I Am Sasha Fierce, classic.
Tiffany Haddish, I'm going to say no.
That's what I would have gone.
I already have a
Tiffany.
chef.
But Tiffany's not a chef.
That's a wild time. 100%.
Because Martha Stewart is an interesting one also. But I feel like, though, there's one name on this list I feel like can make a good drink. Besides Martha Stewart. And also keep the crowd younger. Under the age of 70.
Okay.
Under the age of 70.
So far, I think Michael Jordan is my oldest.
Will Smith, I think, is my oldest. Maybe Darren McCarty or Steve Eiserman. Maybe one of those guys might be the oldest. But Margot Robbie or Scarlett Johansson, which one do you think could make a better drink?
Who do I think can make a better drink?
I think...
I would assume their drink-making capabilities are similar. I don't know.
Really?
I have no clue.
Maybe I'm thinking about it differently then. I don't know.
I'd rather pick Margot because I love the Australian accent.
The Aussie accent is interesting. That is true.
She probably makes stronger drinks.
She probably does.
If that's right, you want to go.
I'm going to go... Man, this is tough. I don't know. Rihanna's an interesting one also because I feel like she knows how to party.
Is Rihanna on this list?
No, but I can add her on the list. Oh, she's not on the list.
Oh, you're going off-road.
So Rihanna's not eligible. I'm going to go Margot Robbie. I'm going to have the Aussie accent in that. Yep, I'm going to go Margot Robbie.
All right.
Who's your final pick, Andrew?
My final pick, I'm going Lil Dicky.
Lil Dicky! So you got 2 different flavors of music coming in.
Yep. Music's taken care of. Food's taken care of.
My consultant liked that pick as well. You got music taken care of.
I got someone who enjoys a nice glass of bourbon with a cigar, Michael, and I got Last for Days, and then The Rock, maybe he'll stay over and help me work out a little bit.
I got music with Will Smith, so I think I'm good there. So for food, you've got Gordon Ramsay and I got Guy Fieri. I'll give you the edge on that one for sure. Gordon Ramsay was my number one chef there. For comedy, though, I'm not gonna lie. I feel it for me because I love Bert Kreischer and Bill Burr.
You got the comedy.
You don't have the local flair in yours, which I
don't
found
have
interesting.
local.
You avoided
I
the
don't have
local flair. I brought in the duo of Darren McCarty and Steve Eiserman.
I'll be honest. My ninth pick was between Lil Dicky and Matthew Stafford. Those were two I was choosing between.
All right, fair enough. I like your music. I won't lie, because Will Smith, I know I align myself more as an actor.
Did you hear his verse on Jordan Lucas during the remix of Jordan Lucas's Will?
I did not.
Ooh,
I didn't know he did one.
It was nice.
Was it? Interesting. Old man still got it apparently. I like the duo. Some of the duos you have with Kevin Hart and The Rock. I like that. Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
Yep.
I got Amy Poehler and Tina Fey.
I got chemistry.
You too. I have some chemistry with Bert and Bill, and then Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively together are probably a shit show.
I'm sure Darren McCarty and Steve Eisman.
Oh, I'm sure D-Mac and Stevie are probably a great duo. And also possibly Will Smith and Margot Robbie because of I can't even remember the name of the movie. Because where Will Smith played
they've been in a couple. They were in Focus.
They were in Focus.
Suicide Squad.
A Suicide Squad. That's the movie I'm thinking of. So maybe there's some chemistry there. They've got a duo there.
You could have also grabbed Leo, and you could have said.
Leo was in my list as like someone I would consider for my ninth pick, but I wanted to have another woman at the party. Yeah. Got to bring in some international flair with Margot Robbie as well. So
let's get the official rundown of our guest list, though. So my guest list, I got Gordon Ramsay, Seth Rogen, The Rock, Kevin Hart, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey, Jack Black, Michael Jordan, and Lil Dicky.
And I've got Bert Kreischer, Bill Burr, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Darren McCarty, Steve Eiserman, Will Smith, Guy Fieri, and Margot Robbie to round out my list, along with obviously yours truly. Who is the life of the party.
Could it be that we could have our parties like what if
next door to each other?
Yeah, like a block party. It's still like. Is it considered gathering of more than 10 people?
As long as there's no more than 10, as long as it's 10 people to a house, you're fine.
All right.
As long as you got 10 to a house, you're fine.
Let's arrange and have one badass party.
I am totally down. Is that house next door to you still up for sale?
All right. I want to highlight some of the people that didn't get picked. I was hoping someone would just take a swing for the fences pick on some of these, but no one did. Charlie Sheen. No one picked Charlie
Sheen. You mean Charlie Sheen? Apparently nobody wanted cocaine at their party.
Yeah, no one wanted to do any blow. Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman was one I considered.
I was going to say this. If you picked Charlie Sheen and didn't pick Dennis Rodman together to pair, I would have been so mad.
Some local names that didn't get picked. Dylan Larkin, Matthew Stafford, Blake Griffin didn't get picked. Miguel Cabrera didn't get picked. Steve Eiserman did. Names that kind of surprised me that did not get picked are Shaq.
I agree.
Another one that didn't get picked was Leo DiCaprio, LeBron James, Kim Kardashian, Kanye West didn't get picked. Jonah Hill was one that honestly surprised me. I expect you to take him. Gal Gadot didn't get picked, which I could have sworn I figured you were going to take.
Yeah, Joe Rogan didn't get picked.
Joe Rogan did not get picked.
If you wanted to have your head talked off, if you could have taken Joe Rogan and Kanye together. They would have just
control the entire conversation.
Yeah, for the entire party, just
for real. But either way, I think we got a couple of good parties, a couple of A-list parties here. Yes, me.
I'm surprised you didn't take LeBron.
LeBron is the biggest.
Those of you don't know, Nick.
Andrew can't hear that.
James.
Andrew can't hear that, but that is a quote from our show that I did. A little sound drop. I am not a LeBron fan at all. That's why The Last Dance was just pure music to my ears and eyes. But either way, a couple of good guest lists here. Andrew, anything else to add before we close out today?
Now I kind of want this party to happen.
I mean, why wouldn't you? A party, honestly, a party with just half of the list that I have would be heaven. Yeah. If I could just sit down and have a cigar and a glass of scotch or bourbon with Bill Burr and Bert Kreischer, my life is made.
if Gordon Ramsay could just come over and cook with me for a day, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Oh, I'd settle for Guy Fieri. Oh man. But anyways, though, guys, that is it for today's episode. Thank you, Andrew, for joining me. Thank you to my consultant as well. But thank you guys for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Real Fan Report. We will catch you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast as well. And we'll catch you guys next week. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
Or fans.
Again, guys, wash your hands. Stay inside. No groups over 10 people. Hope you're getting out and, enjoying yourselves as safely as possible. Wear your mask. Do what you
If you have 11, they'll find you.
They will find you. And they will kill you. Thank you guys again. Have a good one. Peace out.
Peace.